physical works and to maintain a state of order, energy is required by all living organisms. To grow, develop and synthesize various biomolecules like proteins, nucleic acids, fats that are required for the development of the body. The raw materials are required. But how the organisms get these raw materials? How the organisms make energy? For both the things, the source is food. Food is the source of energy and raw materials, which are very essential in order to provide the energy, in order to provide the raw materials. So, food is required by all living organisms in common, because every living organism need energy to maintain a state of order, to carry out physical works in its body, and every living organism require raw materials which are used for the growth, the development and to synthesize various biomolecules. So, food is required by all living organisms in common. The requirement of food is common in all living organisms, but this requirement is not fulfilled in a common way. It is fulfilled in different ways. The requirement of food is required. It is fulfilled in different ways. How? What are those different ways? As we all know, there are two types of nutritional methods: autotrophic method and heterotrophic method. Let us discuss autotrophic method. What do they do? Some, that is the autotrophs, use simpler form of substances like carbon dioxide and water from inorganic sources. What is meant by inorganic sources and organic sources? Inorganic means not associated with living organisms, not part of the body of the living organisms, that is inorganic. So we all know the inorganic sources: air, water, fire, etc. So these are inorganic sources. So the autotrophs use the simpler substances that are available from the inorganic sources. So from air they take carbon dioxide, from soil they take water, from soil they take water. So both of them are obtained from inorganic sources, and they use these simpler substances that are obtained from inorganic sources to prepare the food. So example of these type of organisms are plants and autotrophic bacteria. So collectively these organisms are called autotrophs. Auto means self, tropho means nutrition. They provide or they make nutrition to themselves on their own. They make the food that is required by them on their own. So these are called autotrophs. How do they do? We will just discuss a little later. Next, others apart from autotrophs. Other organisms use complex substances by being dependent on autotrophs either directly or indirectly. What are the autotrophs? Plants. Plants they depend on. If you take the example of herbivores, they directly eat the plants. You take the example of carnivores. Carnivorous animals eat the smaller other animals or herbivorous animals. So, if herbivorous animal has to survive, it has to eat the plants. If carnivorous animal has to survive, it has to eat the herbivorous animal. So, indirectly even carnivorous animals' sustainment also is dependent on plants only. So, directly or indirectly. These complex food which is taken in their nutrition, it is converted to simpler forms. It is converted to simpler form by the breakdown process called digestion. And this digestion is carried out by various biocatalysts which are also called enzymes. So, organisms other than autotrophs, they take the complex form of food by being dependent on either directly or indirectly on autotrophs. Okay, and this complex form of food is converted into simpler form by the breakdown process using the biocatalysts called enzymes. So, example for this type of organisms are animals and fungi. They are called heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are the organisms which dependent on the autotrophs either directly or indirectly for their nutritional purposes. Okay. Now coming to the autotrophic nutrition in detail. In autotrophs, carbon and energy requirements are fulfilled by photosynthesis process. In autotrophs, carbon and energy requirements are fulfilled by photosynthesis process. What is photosynthesis? Taking of carbon dioxide and water from outside, taking of carbon dioxide and water from outside and converting them into carbohydrates. Taking the carbon dioxide and water from outside and converting them into carbohydrates in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll. In presence of sunlight and chlorophyll is called photosynthesis. So generally by photosynthesis plants prepare the carbohydrates in the form of glucose, which can be directly utilized for the cellular respiration process to release energy. But do plants synthesize the glucose only in the limited quantity that is immediately going to be utilized by the cellular respiration? No, they prepare in excess. So such excess carbohydrate will be stored in the form of starch. Such excess carbohydrates are stored in plants in the form of starch. In the same way, even animals also, from the complex food which they take in their nutrition, when they break down that food, the carbohydrate portion of the complex food of the animals is broken down finally into glucose. This glucose also will be in little excess in quantity. The excess glucose is converted into glycogen and is stored in the animal body. Like how excess carbohydrates in plants are stored in the form of starch in plants, in the same way the excess carbohydrates in animals are stored in the form of glycogen. So glycogen is called animal starch. Glycogen is called animal starch. If you just put the entire photosynthetic process in the form of equation, you can write like this: 6CO2 plus 12H2O gives rise C6H12O6 plus 6O2 plus 6H2O. Here on that reaction you can just show chlorophyll and sunlight, because in presence of chlorophyll and sunlight the conversion of carbon dioxide and water into carbohydrates is taking place. So what are the important events that are carried out during photosynthetic process? What are the important events that are carried out during photosynthetic process? There are three important events that are carried out during the photosynthetic process. They are very, very simple. They are absorption of light by chlorophyll. So light provides energy. So absorption of light energy by chlorophyll. Then conversion of this light energy into chemical energy. Conversion of this chemical energy. Then using this chemical energy, splitting of water, because the light energy is used in splitting of water. The splitting of water by this light energy is called photolysis of water. Photolysis of water. So photolysis of water gives what? Hydrogen and oxygen. And these hydrogens are used for the reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. Reduction means in chemistry terms addition of hydrogens or removal of oxygen. That is what called reduction. Oxidation means removal of hydrogens or addition of oxygen. So here to the carbon dioxide hydrogens are added. So it is reduction of carbon dioxide. But from where the hydrogens are available? The hydrogens are available by the splitting of water using the chemical energy, which actually is formed by the conversion of light energy. Okay, right. Next. Based on the structure and climate where the plant is actually growing, based on the plant structure and based on the climate where the plant is living, the three above steps may take place one after another immediately in some plants, or may not take place one after another immediately in some other plants. Instead, they may take place one after another with some gap. For example, if you take some desert plants, in order to conserve water, they close their stomata during the daytime. But the carbon dioxide is taken up by any plant through stomata only. So if they close their stomata during the daytime, how can they get the carbon dioxide that is required by the plants for their photosynthesis? So for that they have got an alternative method. During the night time when temperature is very less, during that time they open their stomata and take up the carbon dioxide. Because carbon dioxide is a gas, it can escape very easily from the plant body. So they will convert this gaseous form of carbon dioxide into some other intermediate form. That intermediate form cannot be escaping from the plant body. So during the night time they take up carbon dioxide and they convert it, or they prepare an intermediate molecule, and that intermediate molecule is stored in the plant leaves. During the daytime they close their stomata, but carbon dioxide is there in the intermediate form, and as stomata is closed, stomata are closed, now this intermediate form is again reconverted back into carbon dioxide and it is utilized by the chlorophyll for the photosynthetic process. Even though carbon dioxide is converted back, it cannot escape because stomata are closed now. Right. Now, chlorophyll is the green pigment. Which harvests the light energy, and chlorophyll is generally present in a specialized organelle of the plant cells called chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are the specialized organelles which you have learned during your class 9th. Okay, which are covered by double-layered membrane which contain their own ribosomes and even some amount of DNA so that they can prepare some of the required proteins on their own. So chlorophyll along with mitochondria are called strange organelles of the plant cells. In the same way, okay, chlorophyll is present in chloroplast, and chloroplasts they are called strange organelles. I just now we have discussed. Okay, and this chlorophyll is very essential for photosynthesis. How can you prove that chlorophyll is very essential for photosynthesis? There is an experiment which we will discuss afterwards. Okay. Now coming to stomata, very important structure of the plant leaves. Stomata are very essential for the gaseous exchange, for their respiration as well as for their photosynthesis process, and for transpiration to take place. If stomata are absent, then gaseous exchange cannot take place and both photosynthesis and respiration cannot occur in the plant leaves, only in the plant leaves. Okay, in the case of other plant parts like stem, roots also, small pores are there which are not called stomata, but they are helpful for the respiration purpose in the respective parts. And opening and closing of stomata is the function of guard cells in the stomata. If you look at the stomata, every stomata contains two bean-shaped guard cells, and covering these guard cells, subsidiary cells or companion cells are present. During the daytime in normal plants, apart from the desert plants, during the daytime in normal plants, these guard cells will be swollen by the entry of water into them. As they are swollen, they get exact bean shape so that the stomatal pore is open. During the night time, the water that is already entered into the guard cell will be withdrawn from the guard cells into the subsidiary cells, so that the guard cells will shrink, then the stomatal pore will be closed. Thus, the stomatal opening and closing is the function of guard cells. How the guard cells regulate the stomatal opening and closing? When water flows into guard cells, the guard cells are swollen and the stomatal pore is open. When the water exits from the guard cells, then the guard cells will shrink and the stomatal pore gets closed. Now, so until here we could come to know that only carbohydrates are made by the photosynthesis process. But are carbohydrates only necessary nutrients for the development of plant body? No. There are many other molecules that are required for the growth and development of plant body. But those molecules are proteins, nucleic acids, all those things. So those proteins and nucleic acids, they require some other elements which are available from the soil to the plants. Plants absorb the required minerals from the soil with the help of their roots. For example, if you take the nitrogen is one of the very essential element in the structure of proteins, nucleic acids. Okay, so this nitrogen is absorbed by the plants in the form of inorganic nitrates and nitrates, and nitrogen is also obtained by the plants in the form of organic compounds, but organic form of nitrogen is made available to the plants by the bacteria, by some special bacteria called rhizobium, cyanobacteria, like a bacteria, okay, and which actually fix the atmospheric nitrogen in organic form of nitrogen, so that the plants can take up the nitrogen. So if you look at the entire nutrition process, to carry out the physical works, okay, and to maintain the state of order, energy is needed, and to grow, develop and synthesize various biomolecules, raw materials are needed. Food is the source of energy and raw materials. The food is required by all living organisms in common. Though the requirement is common, but the fulfilling of this requirement is done in different ways. The autotrophs use simpler substances from inorganic sources. They are carbon dioxide and water, okay, to just prepare the food. And example for autotrophs are plants and autotrophic bacteria. Heterotrophs use complex substances by being dependent on plants either directly or indirectly. Okay, and these complex substances are broken down in the process of their digestion using the biocatalysts called enzymes. Okay, examples for heterotrophs are animals and fungi. In autotrophic nutrition, the carbon and energy requirements are fulfilled by photosynthetic process. What is photosynthesis? Taking of carbon dioxide and water from outside and converting them into carbohydrates in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll is called photosynthesis. So the carbohydrates that are produced by the photosynthesis, the excess carbohydrates are stored in the form of starch in plants. The excess carbohydrates are stored in the form of glycogen in animals. So glycogen is called animal starch. There are three events that occur during photosynthesis. First event is absorption of light energy by chlorophyll, and second event is conversion of light energy into chemical energy and using it to split the water into hydrogen and oxygen. And third event is using the hydrogens that are available from the splitting of water to reduce the carbon dioxide to produce carbohydrates. So based on the structure of the plants and based on the climate in which the plant is living, these three events may take place one after the other immediately or may not take place one after the other immediately, and they may take place with some gap. So if you look at the desert plants to conserve the water, they close their stomata during the daytime so that they cannot get the carbon dioxide during the daytime, but they get the light energy during the daytime. So how both light energy, these three events can take place. During the night time, when the temperature is very less, these desert plants take up the carbon dioxide and prepare some intermediate from this carbon dioxide. And during the daytime, they close the stomata, but this intermediate form of carbon dioxide is utilized by the chlorophyll for the photosynthetic process. If you look at stomata are the tiny pores present on the surface of the leaves through which massive amounts of gases exchange takes place. Of course, gases exchange occurs even on other parts of the plant body like the stems and roots also. But the stomata are very much helpful for the photosynthetic process to occur because the chlorophyll is present in chloroplast, especially in the leaves. Okay, chloroplast are the special organelles in the plant cell leaves which help the chlorophyll that absorb the light energy. Opening and closing of stomata is very essential for the photosynthesis to occur and for the transpiration to take place. Okay, opening and closing of stomata is a function of guard cells. When guard cells take or gain the water into them, they are swollen and the stomatal pore gets opened. When the guard cells lose water or water exits from the guard cells will shrink and stomatal pore gets closed. Thus, when stomatal pore is opened, the gases exchange can occur very easily. Next, by photosynthesis only carbohydrates are prepared. The other materials like proteins and nucleic acids are prepared using the mineral nutrition process that is taking place in the plants. The mineral nutrition mainly occurs through the roots, okay, from the soil. Nitrogen is very essential building block of proteins and nucleic acids. This nitrogen is absorbed by the plant roots in the inorganic form of nitrates and nitrates or organic form which is prepared by the symbiotic bacteria.